Patric, can you give us a scenario or what you're actually seeing to kind of substantiate this deed fraud theory? Is it really a theory or does it happen?
Oh, no, it happens. It definitely happens. And we see it on a very regular basis.
I'm sorry, Patric. I just read the next question or comment. This is good. I got to say it. So, lawyer, you're full of crap. If a person was picking up a check, the clerk will ask for ID. Oh my goodness. Tell me, Patric, what do you think about that?
I do think I'm full of crap, for the most part. I don't know what they're getting at. We see this stuff happening all the time. We see it irrespective of whether people are producing IDs. We see notaries who are in on this stuff.
How does a company lock title?
I don't know. I think it's more marketing than anything else. I don't know how you truly lock title. I think you sort of protect it by monitoring it. And I think that's really what they're doing.
Well, hey everybody, I am so excited to have Patric MacQueen with Medalist Legal back in the house. Welcome back, Patric.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
So Patric, you and I shot a video on deed fraud, and you guys, I'm going to include that at the end. So if you missed that video, you're going to want to check it out. But we had over 19,000 views and over 100 questions, comments on that one interview. So today I thought we could answer some of these questions and comments, address some of the comments about that specific interview. Obviously, deed fraud still seems to be a thing. And for those of you out there that may not know what it is, we're going to kind of give you a little definition, but we're just going to dive into answering these questions. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So tell us, deed fraud in your world as a real estate attorney, what are you seeing before we dive into the comments?
There's all sorts of deed fraud. Deed fraud, frankly, has been around a very, very long time. Ever since, you started having deeds and recorded deeds in the first place, there's been somebody out there trying to swindle somebody out of their property. So it's really nothing new. In fact, 20-some years ago, my first case out of law school involved someone signing a deed that for property that didn't belong to them. So it's been around for a very long time. I think it has just become more and more popular because it's happening perhaps a little bit more often. There are different ways in which people are getting away with it. There are different avenues that people are pursuing to try to remedy it, and so it's just more sort of in the public realm than it ever has been before. Deed fraud to me is anytime somebody executes a deed to a piece of property that they don't own or forges a deed. Some people think of it as some other things, but to me, plain and simple, it is when someone signs a legal document purporting to convey real estate that they don't own, and they're doing it with the intent to rip somebody else off.
When I think about people that might be susceptible to this type of scenario, I think about our aging population. And I think about many people in that demographic, maybe their homes are free and clear now, meaning that they don't have any liens against the house. And then the other demographic that I think is just really important to know is if you're purchasing a house, even a brand new house, doesn't matter how old you are, if you're paying cash for that home and there is no lien or anything encumbering that particular title, I think it also creates some exposure. Would you agree that those are kind of the scopes? Not that it can't happen if there is a mortgage already on the property, but it feels to me like if we had to prioritize scopes, it would be those two types of categories.
Yeah, in general, I would say there's really no type of property that's perfectly safe from this type of stuff. But if you were to sort of look at the statistics, I think it is the people who are targeted more often than not are people who may not have as much experience with the technology and know how to look up what's going on with the property. People who have raw land, who own raw land, that's another big one. And then of course the people who have their mortgages or their loans paid off. The reason I think that there are more targets in those types of situations, particularly the paid off home loan, is because when there is a small mortgage, when there is a trust involved, when there is an LLC, there's usually an additional step that these folks have to take, or that sellers or those owners have to take to sell the property. And if there is a title company involved, if there's a lender providing a payoff, if there's a trustee involved in the trust, well, then that's a little bit of a hassle for people. And so I think they're going to be less likely to target those people than others. So I think that's partially why, those are sort of the categories that we see this happening a little bit more. But I've seen situations where people come up with, perfectly valid fake IDs, or not, I shouldn't say perfectly valid fake IDs because they're not valid, but perfectly looking and apparently valid IDs that pass off as them owning it. A notary sees this and says, I don't see a problem here, and they're allowed to sign these documents. So, I think the real problem is that the fraudsters are just getting so much better at doing this. The technology is out there to make it easier for them. And ultimately, if you think about it, Kelly, I could go down to the Maricopa County Recorder's office and convey the Grand Canyon to you. And there's literally no stopping me from doing that. I could literally go and say, I, Patric MacQueen, convey to Kelly Zitlow, the entire Grand Canyon. Here's the legal description for the Grand Canyon. And we go down and record it. And nobody at the Maricopa County Recorder's office is going to stop me. They're not going to say, actually, Patric, you don't own this. You can't convey this. And so, that presents a little bit of an issue too, is that, there isn't this sort of gatekeeping that people expect or would hope, or it's just never been like that. And so perhaps that's really where some of this is stemming, is there's no gatekeeping.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's dive into some of these questions. The first one, and again, there's been over 100, so we're not going to be able to answer all of them, but these were some really good questions and comments. The first one is, do you advocate for title insurance to help protect against deed fraud?
I think that's a good question. I don't advocate for title insurance just for the deed fraud purpose. I think title insurance provides a number of other potential benefits. What we do in situations where we're trying to protect an asset is what we really try to stack all of the things that we can possibly stack in our favor. So if it's getting a small mortgage, if it's putting a property in an LLC or a trust, or if it's recording a basic document that says, hey, you have to take my fingerprints before I sell this property, just weird stuff like that. We're stacking the sort of defenses. And so what title insurance may do, it doesn't do it in all circumstances. What it may do is it may provide a defense after something has happened. So that's not the greatest thing because it's already happened, and now you have to invoke the title policy to try to help. And it's a title insurance policy. It's a title insurance company. And so they have some basis to deny claims, and they can say this isn't something that's covered by the policy. Sorry, you're out of luck. You got to go and hire another attorney on your dime. And so it is a tool. It is not foolproof either. And so what we're talking about though is protecting title in a multitude of ways. Title insurance isn't going to actually protect title. It's going to give you a defense if a claim or an issue arises. So it's helpful, but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah. Okay. Why do homeowners have to hire attorneys to get their properties returned to them after paying and being forced to pay via their lenders title insurance? Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
it's not an acceptable answer.
Yeah. Well, how about this? Then do it on your own, right? I mean, it's if you don't want to hire a real estate attorney, try it on your own. Real estate attorneys have the specific experience to kind of know how to navigate and where to go and the things to say and the things to do to prove that you just got ripped off on your title, to prove or to quiet title, it's called. So yeah, that's an unfortunate part, is that people have to spend all this money after they bought a $2,000 or $3,000 title insurance policy when the title insurance policy says we're not covering you. It's a frustrating thing. Why do they have to do it? Yeah, again, I don't know. I didn't create the system, but it's often necessary because we do this stuff on a regular basis, and it's not always super evident what somebody on their own should or could be doing. So it is a long process. It can be a very long process. It can be a very exhaustive process. It can be somewhat of a frightening process. particularly if your attorney's not communicating with you in terms of, what's really happening and stuff like that. But when you hire an attorney to defend title, expect a long battle, because the court systems don't move fast. There's court rules in place that slow the process down, which kind of stinks. But in terms of why they have to, I don't know. Perhaps they were denied coverage. Perhaps they didn't buy the right type of title insurance. Perhaps it just wasn't offered in that situation, so they have to go to hire an attorney. Obviously, that stinks for them. It's great for me, but it's not a lot of fun for anybody in those situations.
Patric, let's walk through a timeline because I'm a little confused just about how and when title insurance could be helpful and when it's really irrelevant. So if we think about today, I'm going to go purchase a house, let's just say that, and I'm going to use a home loan to finance that purchase. As part of that home loan process, I'm going to purchase title insurance, and that's going to protect to ensure that I have clear title as the new owner, meaning that anything that was previously encumbered on that title, the title company's job the title company's job is to, one, before they convey, to ensure that I'm assuming a clear title. But then two, this insurance that we speak about is ensuring their decision that it has been cleared. Let's just stop there. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And so what you're saying is at this point in time, going backwards,
Yep.
We believe that when you receive this deed at close of escrow, when you get this loan at close of escrow, you will own this title free and clear, or you will be the fee simple owner of this property, and your lender will have a first position deed of trust or whatever position they've agreed to. So yes, so it looks backwards, looks at all of the recorded documents, whatever's recorded in title. Is sort of what they're searching and what they're saying. Hey, look, we think that this is a good deal. This can happen in the way that the seller is saying it can happen, that the lender wants it to happen, and so yes, it looks backwards.
So in that case, let's say that there was deed fraud, meaning that the seller that's selling me the property does not technically own that property, but they're presenting that they do, and it goes through escrow, the title insurance process, the title review, and the title company says, yep, this seller checks out, everything checks out. We close escrow, and then the rightful, let's say, owner comes after close of escrow and says, Kelly, give me my house back. So this is a scenario. In that case, because we're looking back, because we did purchase insurance to protect the asset that we were purchasing, in that case, I feel like that probably would, even though I might need you, it feels to me like that is an easier scenario to contact the title company and say, hey, here's the scenario, and kind of dive into it. Whereas if you don't go through the home loan process and you don't have the property in an LLC or a trust or any of these kind of what you called stacking of defenses, if you don't have any of that and that property is truly free and clear, going forward, having had title insurance when you purchase the house is really irrelevant. Is that fair, or am I missing something?
I wholeheartedly agree with you with that second part of the analysis, where you're buying and there was no policy and you're sort of left out there in the cold without any sort of second search. In the first scenario, though, when we're looking at the seller and we didn't know that the seller did or did not have the authority to convey the property to you, again, all that the title company is really looking at are the documents that were recorded against title. And so if there's nothing in there saying, wait a minute, we see this other deed that's come from 1972 that just showed up on title, you may not have a title insurance claim here. You may not have, you may be out of luck. And that's when you have to go and you hire an attorney. So both of those situations could lead to you having to hire an attorney because insurance isn't going to protect you. So it really protects when the title company says, we've gone back and this seller has title, and you go back and you find something from, the 70s or 80s that says somebody else actually has title here. You guys missed this. That's really when title insurance is going to kick in. That's really when you can use your title insurance policy. that first scenario that you described may qualify for title insurance. But if there's nothing giving the title company any indication that there was this deed out there, maybe it was recorded, maybe it wasn't, or something like, then there's not going to be coverage because they didn't do anything wrong. They look at the title records. That's all they do. And if there's nothing there, then you're getting title insurance policy and you got clean title, according to them.
I would just throw out there, being on the lending side for almost 30 years, title companies do a pretty good job of asking questions. So when we get a title commitment for somebody that's purchasing a home, they're going to have many times conditions that have to be met. And a lot of times these are things like this. There's an old home equity line of credit on this property that maybe it hasn't been released, or there's questions that the seller or buyer have to provide additional documentation just to ensure that the title insurance is, in fact, that they've done all of their due diligence as part of it. So I don't want people to be afraid about it, but I do think that you're right. Things, in as much as title insurance companies want to ensure that they're doing all the things, at the end of the day, people are human, and sometimes things can be missed. So,
and that's sort of why I said, look, we're stacking defenses here. There may be a situation in which somebody just goofs up and misses something. There may be a situation where, Junior was hanging on to a deed for a very long time, never recorded it, so the title company just wouldn't see it. There's all sorts of scenarios, and so that's why I think it's so important to stack all of these defenses, because one may not work as good as the other in all circumstances. And so if you have title insurance policy, great. That's one of the 4 or 5 things you can do to try to protect your title here. It's a tool. And I think I do strongly urge people to obtain title insurance when they're buying free and clear in any situation, frankly. But so I definitely don't want to discourage that and say, oh, it's worthless, because it's not. There are many, many circumstances in which it will be covered. But it is just a tool, and it's one of, like I said, 4 or 5 things that people can do or should consider doing.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. Do I need home title lock? I don't know what lock means. Maybe home title insurance if I have a living trust.
They may be referring to the service that is advertised on late night TV that sort of guarantees that if anybody messes with your title and it's not covered by title insurance, that they'll come in and step in and take care of the situation. Again, we're talking about tools here. So what I think the person is saying, well, hey, I've got it in the trust, that means I'm protected. I don't think so. I think I think those are 2 tools that we're talking about. That having it in a trust may require that we inquire into the trustee's capacity to sign this document, and forces the title company to get some authority documents, and that may dissuade somebody from trying to take somebody else's title. So I think both of those can be helpful, but I would say no. You still need either title insurance or whatever sort of lock product that's out there to help protect you. Those are 2 examples, again, of ways to sort of stack these defenses and stack the protection.
How does the company lock title?
I don't know. I think it's more marketing than anything else. I don't know how you truly lock title. I think you sort of protect it by monitoring it. And I think that's really what they're doing.
Right.
They try to lock it down or something, but I don't know how you lock title.
Because I go to bed at 10 o'clock. I'm not on late night TV, so I did not see this magical commercial about home title lock. But now you've enlightened me, so thank you.
There's something out there. Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's not even that late night either, because I don't go to bed that late either. But there's these title locks or something. Yeah, I do think what they're talking about is this sort of product that you can buy where they help to monitor, and then they step in if they see anything that's out of the ordinary.
Makes sense. I mean, there are, credit lock types of features, and so it's probably a play on that, but I just never heard anything formally. When you do a lock on your credit or you freeze your credit, you're actually doing that through the 3 major credit bureaus. Now you might use a service that helps you do that, but it's really the 3 major credit bureaus that are truly locking it down. I just didn't know that there was a universal type of entity that could do a home title lock. So
I think it's one of those products that sort of plays on the fears of people and makes $29.99 a month for monitoring your credit, or not your credit, but your title.
yeah. All right, next one. All counties have to do is send an email alert at the beginning of the deed transfer. Instead, they do it after the crime has been committed. They don't do the alert at the beginning because they won't get their money. They don't care that your life is about to be turned upside down. That is such an interesting comment, and you kind of alluded to this, Patric, early on in the conversation of just, you could deed the Grand Canyon to me or convey it to me, and nobody at the recorder's office is going to question it or stop it. So maybe, again, in part, it's trying to create some checks and balances at that juncture as opposed to after the fact. Do you have any comments?
I think there's a lot of competing sort of issues here. I certainly don't think we have the technology available to do with, I don't know, maybe we do, but there are so many real estate transactions that happen on a daily basis, whether somebody's recording a quitclaim deed, whether somebody's recording a warranty deed, whether somebody's recording a deed of trust, whatever, some sort of affidavit, whatever it is. I don't know how you sort of slow down the process and put in these checks and balances other than the title insurance policy, to have a title insurance policy that ensures that, yes, this is your property and yes, you're a first position lender here. I don't know what else you do at this point. I'm not creative enough to come up with a way, but I understand completely what this person is saying. They're basically saying, look, hey, we'll go and record it, pay your $30 to record it, and then we'll let you know that it was recorded, as opposed to determining whether this person had the authority or the ability to record in the first place. Right now, our statutes basically say if you want to record a document, it needs to be in this font, and you need to have this much spacing on either side, and you need to have a legal description and a notary's approval or acknowledgement. That's all you need. And so that I think is lacking. And I think these things came out when there was less deed fraud and it wasn't as rampant as it is now. And so, does this need to be updated somehow? Yeah, I just don't know how to.
And I think, too, even if there were a system in place for the recorder's offices to notify, let's say, the owner of the property that a request to have the property quitclaimed, for example, has been received by our office, having their contact information and being able to reach them in a timely manner, I mean, that in itself is a nightmare. And going back to title insurance, if you have a seller and a buyer, they're each completing disclosures, including all of their information and contact information. So that third party really kind of navigates the transition from ownerships or one owner to the other owner. So, but it is a good idea. So you would think with, AI, that this could be solved somehow. I think there's going to be something with that somehow. I mean, obviously, yeah, I think that's something that's coming. A better way to index, a better way to search, a better way to know what's really out there. I do think that's coming. Oh. Again, we're dealing with governments and stuff like that, so they can sometimes be a little slow to respond to these types of needs, but it has to come from the legislature somehow. I'm sorry, Patric. I just read the next question or comment. This is good. I got to say it. So, lawyer, you're full of crap. If a person was picking up a check, the clerk will ask for ID. Oh, my goodness. Tell me, Patric, what do you think about that?
I do think I'm full of crap, for the most part. I don't know what they're getting at. We see this stuff happening all the time. We see it irrespective of whether people are producing IDs. We see notaries who are in on this stuff. So I don't know. I can only convey what I see, but confirmed, I'm full of crap sometimes.
All right. It's not that easy to forge a deed and steal someone's home. There are protections in place. Skip Bio replied, it's very easy. All you need is a fake ID or a notary willing to sign off on the document. And then Pronoun Police replied, no, it's not There are attorneys that would squash that in a minute. You have to show several forms of identification with all picture IDs. So with that said, Patric, can you give us a scenario or what you're actually seeing to kind of substantiate this deed fraud theory? Is it really a theory or does it happen?
Oh, no, it happens. It definitely happens. And we see it on a very regular basis. And whether it's a fake ID or a notary in on it, those are two of the things that we do see. I mean, look, 99.9% of real estate transactions or mortgage transactions are just fine. You're never going to run into a deed fraud situations. But there's enough that, that 0.001 is going to affect a number of people and it gets highlighted and people hear about it and those types of things. So yes, there are fake IDs out there. Yes, there are people who, say sign here and then they go and get a notary to do something. So there is enough of it out there that it is concerning. The other part of this is, okay, yeah, we'll have a lawyer squash this or quash this or whatever the comment was. Ultimately, the good guys are going to win. You're going to get the property back. You're going to get title back, but it's a pain in the butt to have to do that. And you may spend $100,000 by the time it's all said and done. And so that's why we recommend just these little things, monitoring that type of stuff, having a trust, having a small amount, at least a small mortgage, vigilance, I guess, in these. And it doesn't have to be daily vigilance or weekly vigilance, maybe once a month, maybe once every 6 months, or sign up for one of those subscription services that does it for you, because it does happen. And again, it doesn't happen that often, but it happens enough. I see it because, obviously that's what I do. But when I do see it, it's very expensive. You can't just go back to these people and say, hey, it looks like you've made a mistake and conveyed this property to somebody that doesn't actually own it. Will you revise your deed or will you terminate this deed? Yeah, right. That's not going to happen. You have to go through these proofs with the court to show that you were the rightful owner, to show that this was forged, to show that this was done fraudulently. So when it happens, it's very expensive. Does it happen all the time? Yeah, no. I mean, I see it a lot, but that's just what I do.
Yeah, that's a good point. What if you don't have the money to hire somebody like you or an attorney? I mean, then what?
Yeah,
they have to do it on their own.
They have to try it on their own, and that part to me is that's the unfortunate part. That's the scary proposition. Now maybe you can go to the state bar, and sometimes the attorneys within the state bar will help, or the state bar will ask someone like me or somebody else to say, hey, look, this is a pro bono matter. Can you assist with this? So there's pro bono organizations that may help with this. They're not widely advertised, but go to the state bar website, at least here in Arizona, you can do that in most other states, and say, look, this is what's happened. What are the steps I need to take? The other part is, fortunately, for a lot of people, AI. And you can go into ChatGPT or one of the other AI providers and just say, look, this is what's happened. What are my next steps? And that'll at least get you going. I mean, I don't think people should totally rely on that. I see ChatGPT in the law context as a good first-year associate or as a good law clerk. They'll get you some information. They'll get you some information that's helpful, but it's not based on 20-some years of experience and that type of knowledge. So start there as well.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, Patric, thank you so much. Again, if you want to check out the original deed fraud video, it will be included. And also, if you have additional questions or comments, please don't hesitate to post those. Thanks, Patric.
You bet. Thank you.